So I did have some comments on the Career and Tech Center, and I know that I've made these comments at other work sessions and discussions that we've had, certainly not about the project itself, but the way that if you look at the allocation in 2021 and add in the out years, that was changed to, we originally had in a $30 million local allocation, and that got increased to a $34 million local allocation, and that was not something that was sent through this Board of Ed for approval. And I just want to point out that I think that process was not followed properly, because we needed to discuss as a board if we had an additional $4 million, like if the county, notwithstanding that the county has agreed to provide it, but we need to be able to say, well, is the extra $4 million, is Career and Tech where we're putting that towards, or does it go towards a different allocation? Does it go towards an East Middle Replacement School project? So, I just want to point out that if we went ahead and approved this CIP, that we are now in fact approving a $34 million request from the county, not the $30 million that we had in there previously. So, Ms. Herbert.
And that is true because, excuse me, Mr. Weaver, because we did vote on the 30, and then when we went to the group, when we met with the commissioners, and we had that joint meeting, that's when we were told about that $4 million, and Donna is correct on that we as a board never approved that $34 million number, and now we're in the midst of this, and I don't want that $4 million biting us in the butt 3 years down the road when we need something else fixed. But I just want you all to be aware that's what happened at that meeting. One meeting we approved $30 million, and then when we came to the joint meeting, then there's a number there, $34 million. So that was not what we voted on.
Right, and I'm not saying that I don't completely understand the rationale behind how that happened, right? Like, so if we were able to change some of the ed specs and get additional state participation to make that a $69 million project, but that's not what we had approved, and it never came back to our board to talk about that increase in the local request.
We were all caught in that meeting.
Right.
The same way, like, where'd this come from?
And Mr. Eccles, I want to make sure that you understand, everybody out there, we are for that Career and Tech.
Absolutely.
But this is not the way we should be doing business.
So I just want to point out that 34 million versus 30 million is what's in here now. So I want to put that out there, just that we're very cognizant of the decision that we're making, right? Because we had said that we were talking about a $60 million project with a potential up to a $70 million project if that made sense, right? But
right, and that's the thing. It had made sense, and you know, I don't want us to make the same mistakes that those other schools have been done with wasteful space. You know, I mean, that's the thing. Those things add up.
Right. I mean, my preference would have been to do as much as we could have with the $60 million. Right. And because we need that capital money for that additional $4 million potentially for other projects. But the way that was decided, it was taken out of this board's hands in terms of having that discussion. So I just want to make sure that we have that discussion.
Absolutely.
For just a point of procedure for you on this side of the street with the board, I think one thing that we committed to at that last discussion, which we will do, is we'll make sure that any updates to the capital budgets, we'll just update it anyway, but if there are any changes at any point in time where we're having a budget meeting, the work sessions, all the meetings you have on the operating budget, for whatever reason, you didn't get the same updates on the capital budget at those same benchmarks. So we will bring updates on any changes to capital projects on the same sequence of meetings once we start the operating budget. Now, the timing's not the same, as you know, and I'm not trying to rehash whether it was a right decision or not. It's way earlier than your operating budget. It'll be October when you vote on it And that's just a funding request, just like when you submit your operating budget in February to the county, that's a funding request. They have the authority as the funding source to make it whatever they deem appropriate ultimately under law. So sometimes those project numbers might change locally, sometimes those project numbers could change from the state for any number of different reasons. But what we will do is at every sequence of budget meetings going forward, every year, any updates to the capital projects will be presented to you so that you're aware that you know that this has been tweaked or changed, and here's why that's happened. And it's really hard to make a rescission or a change to your plan after it's officially adopted, but at least you'll be aware, here's why those numbers have changed, or here's what the commissioners are receiving and are poised to vote on. Does that make sense? Updates as often as possible.
Absolutely. Commissioner Weaver, did you have something to add?
No, I just, that whole issue was, I was blindsided, same as you were in the meeting. I went back and it was, it was done without any board's approval.